At our 30th Pearl anniversary party, my NFL star husband, Mark, raised his champagne flute. It wasn't for a toast. It was to announce he was divorcing me in front of hundreds of guests. He smirked, calling me a boring compliance expert, and his scheme was even more twisted. He planned to fake a mental health crisis for me just to steal custody of our daughter. 3 decades of my loyalty, swapped for public humiliation. But just as he thought he'd won, I quietly placed a gilded fake key next to his dinner plate. In just 3 days, that key unlocked the plan that cost him everything, and I, Aurora, rose from the ashes. The entire ballroom went silent. If you've ever been betrayed and had to stand up for justice, hit subscribe now. Let's witness this epic payback together. Comment justice if you believe in a woman's power and comeback. I've decided to start a new life. Without her. The words hung in the opulent ballroom where we were celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary. Mark, my husband of 3 decades, raised his champagne glass, sneering, "Aurora only knows how to audit, I need freedom." That fake speech about eternal vows was replaced by this cold shock. The champagne bubbles popped in the air, shattering just like our 30-year promise. The glittering chandeliers suddenly felt like cold blades cutting through the past. Glasses shook in the guests' hands, but the entire room was frozen. The light clinking of silverware stopped instantly. Every conversation died. The ballroom was dead silent, all eyes locked on me like some kind of live Netflix drama. An elderly woman at the VIP table whispered, "Oh my God, he actually did that." Another guy shook his head. "What kind of mess is this?" One sleazy guy at a VIP table started filming, muttering, "This is going to be 1 million views on TikTok, easy." A mutual friend who once called me the perfect wife shook his head, whispering, "Mark, how could you do that to her?" Dozens of eyes darted between Mark and me, waiting for me to scream, to cry, to make some dramatic exit they wanted. But I just smiled. "Congrats on the honesty, Mark. I'm Aurora, the compliance expert. And honestly, I was tired of playing the perfect wife anyway. That exhaustion. It was over. And Mark had no idea that my 30 years of devotion were actually 30 years of me quietly building the most sophisticated trap of his life. Flashes of the old Mark went through my head. Mark, years ago, week after his heart surgery, swearing he'd pay me back for life. That heart condition almost ended his career. I was the one who convinced the NFL executives to give him a second chance, using my own reputation and compliance experience to guarantee it. The night before the surgery, he held my hand, tears welling up. "I'd be dead without you, babe." Today, he stabbed me right in the heart in front of the whole world. I'd put my dream of opening a consulting firm on hold for 3 decades, just to prop him up through 3 failed ventures and countless finding myself episodes. A week before the party, I gave him one last shot. I left my old diary, detailing his promise after the heart surgery, on his desk. I hoped he'd see it and stop, but he just skimmed it, his eyes totally blank. In that moment, I knew I had no other choice. I raised Hannah, my brilliant daughter, now sitting next to me, her face pale with shock. Hannah looked at me. Her eyes weren't just shocked. They were asking, "You knew this was coming, didn't you, Mom?" A silent understanding passed between us, like a fire igniting inside me. I glanced over. Jenna, Mark's young mistress, was awkwardly sitting at a back table, right next to those close friends I'd trusted for years. They knew about the affair and never said a word. Jenna herself had been to our Christmas parties. She'd even texted me for career advice tips. With the carefully practiced composure of a pro, I reached into my handbag. I pulled out a gilded fake key, a souvenir from one of Mark's million-dollar real estate projects, and placed it softly next to his dinner plate. My finger was ice cold when it touched the gilded metal. "What is this?" he asked. His smugness was starting to waver. "Use it to open your secret safe, Mark, the future you're dreaming of," I answered, my voice totally level. "Just be careful. It's going to bite back." I turned to Hannah. Her face was paper white. I kissed her cheek. "I'm proud of you, sweetie. I'm fine today." Then I stood up, smoothed down my dress, and addressed the stunned crowd. "Please, everyone, enjoy the food and drinks. Have a good evening." I walked out, head held high, feeling like I had just incinerated every single judgmental gaze in that room. Less than 5 minutes later, Twitter blew up. An Aurora Slays was trending with the tweet. Mark just announced his divorce at the anniversary party. "Who's on Team Aurora?" The door slammed shut, cutting off the surging whispers of the crowd. The city's summer heat hit me like a wall, but I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I took a free breath. Behind me, the door flew open and slammed shut again. Mark's voice shrieked, no longer confident, but panicked and frantic. "Aurora, what the hell was that key? What did you do?" I kept walking, a slight knowing smile on my lips. He had no idea what I had prepared. The storm was only just beginning. That fake key was the opener to a revenge plan I'd been plotting for months. He wasn't just planning a divorce. Weeks ago, I discovered he was plotting to use forged documents to label me mentally unstable, hoping to strip my parental rights over Hannah. I let him make his moves, because every mistake he made was one more brick for my revenge. I was pulling the strings, and he was the puppet dancing to the ending I'd already written. I was always the rational one in this marriage. My plan wasn't just to expose him. It was a perfectly executed machine. Mark transferring the money was proof A. Him signing the real estate contract with Jenna was proof B. And his attempt to take Hannah was the final proof needed to activate Clause 12. I didn't set the trap. I just guided him right into it. While Mark fantasized about big deals, I kept our family stable. I saved money for Hannah, while Mark blew cash on his friend's half-baked real estate projects. I worked extra hours at my compliance job when he quit because of a midlife crisis to chase his NFL agent dream. That passion lasted exactly 6 months before he got bored. My dream of opening a consulting company for women was constantly postponed. Later, I kept telling myself, when Mark is stable. 3 months ago, I noticed something fishy in our joint accounts. Small transfers to a strange account. With my 20 years of compliance experience, they flashed like screaming red flags. I could have confronted him then, but my gut told me to wait. Maybe it was the growing distance between us. I quietly started digging. What I found was worse than any nightmare. Mark had been funneling money into a secret account for over a year. He took Jenna to fancy restaurants, bought her designer clothes, and looked at ocean view villas, all while telling me to save up for retirement. I found messages where he was ordering a pricey Rolex for her birthday, while last year for mine, he gave me a discounted teapot set. Then I saw the messages on his phone when he left it unlocked. Talk about his new life. Talk about his freedom. Talk about the big plan right after the anniversary party, the day he planned his grand exit. But Mark forgot. I was a 30-year compliance expert. I understood the flow of money. I knew how to track assets. I didn't need to find a new clue. I needed to find a single sentence in an old document he once forced me to sign. That sentence, a secret clause, was why he was about to lose everything. Crucially, I remembered a document we signed 30 years ago when I had more assets than him. The document he insisted on to protect his future earnings held a legal weapon that would be his death blow. Clause 12 stated clearly, if one party can prove the other plotted to destroy their character, the cheating spouse forfeits all financial benefits. While Mark plotted with Jenna, I built my case. I met with my lawyer, documented every single transfer, collected evidence of the affair, prepared the divorce papers. I timed it perfectly, knowing he waited until after the anniversary to avoid ruining the day. He was stunned when he realized I filed for divorce this morning before his announcement. The papers were safely filed in court, not yet served to him. Mark had no idea I was always 3 steps ahead. I didn't go back to the ballroom. I drove home, to the luxurious downtown villa we bought 15 years ago. The house Mark promised Jenna, according to the text he didn't know I saw. I parked the car and walked into the space that used to be our home. Everything was the same. Family photos on the wall, the antique clock from my father, the leather sofa where we used to dream. But everything was changed. I went up to the bedroom and opened the closet. Mark's suitcase was neatly packed, hidden in the back, ready for his grand exit tomorrow. I laughed at how predictable he was. He always looked polished on the outside, but was sloppy with the important stuff. My phone kept buzzing. Texts from friends at the party, from Hannah, from Diana, Mark's sister, who flew in for the celebration. I only texted Hannah. I'm fine, honey. Don't worry about this. Go enjoy your night. We'll talk tonight. Love you. I'd kept the truth from Hannah for months, unwilling to ruin her big day. She'd be angry, but she'd understand. Hannah inherited my sharp mind and her father's charisma, which helped her shine today. 3 hours later, Mark's car roared up. The front door burst open. "Aurora!" His scream echoed through the villa. "Where are you?" I was sitting in the living room, calmly reviewing documents on my laptop. I closed the computer when he charged in, face beet red, gripping the fake key. "What is this supposed to mean?" he roared, holding it up. "You filed for divorce today, on this day." "I thought it fit your plan," I replied, my voice steady. "You wanted a new life. I just helped speed it up. You have no right." "I have every right." I cut him off, my voice firm. "Just like you had the right to choose Jenna. Everyone gets to choose, Mark." "The prenup expired ages ago," he said, his arrogance briefly returning. "Any lawyer would tell you that." I smiled faintly. "Actually, no. Clause 12 clearly states the loyalty provision is effective for the duration of the marriage. Your lawyer should have made that clear." "Oh wait, you don't have one, do you?" His face went ashen as the truth sank in. The contract he insisted on signing would now take everything. The real estate project, the retirement accounts. His grand announcement at the party became the most expensive move of his life. "You can't do this to me," Mark pleaded, slumping onto the sofa. His shoulders were defeated, his breathing heavy. "We built this life together, and you chose to destroy it," I replied, totally unfazed. His phone buzzed constantly in his pocket. He glanced at it, then ignored it. Jenna, definitely confused why he wasn't sticking to their perfect plan. "You're always calculating, Aurora." "But this is just cruel," Mark pleaded, softening his voice, trying to find a lifeline. "Do our 30 years mean nothing?" I just stared at him. The man I loved for almost 3 decades, the guy who held my hand through 2 miscarriages before Hannah was born, the husband who once surprised me with a trip to Hawaii for our 10th anniversary. When did he change? Or was this who he always was, and I was just blind because of my devotion? "Those 30 years meant everything to me," I answered truthfully. "That's why your betrayal cut so deep." He thought he found an opening. "We can fix this. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes." This wasn't a mistake, Mark. This was a year-long plan. You secretly moved money. You went house shopping with her. You deliberately chose to announce our divorce publicly to humiliate me. His face hardened. "You're exaggerating." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone and played the voice recording. His own voice filled the room. His face went white as a sheet hearing himself boast about his scheme. "After the anniversary, I'll just tell her straight up. Public is better. She won't dare make a scene in front of everyone." Then Jenna's voice. "She's clueless about money, right?" Mark's reply. "Yeah, Aurora trusts me completely. That's her weakness." He knew he was done for. "You recorded us? That's illegal?" "Nope. Not in this state, as long as one party consents," I replied. "And that wasn't your private space, was it?" "I'm not evil. I only recorded your plan to commit fraud." Mark leaped up, furious. "I need to make calls." "Go right ahead," I said. "Call your lawyer." "Tonight I'm staying at Diana's." "Diana?" he stammered. "My sister's house," I nodded. "She's really disappointed in you." "She told me straight." He dug his own grave. "You don't need to get your hands dirty." Diana had her arms crossed, a wry smile on her face. "I saw you and Jenna at the Christmas party. Mark, you promised to stop, but you kept lying. I chose my sister-in-law a long time ago." Diana, the former accountant with eyes like sharp knives, actually discovered your fraudulent transactions before I did, sending me screenshots from the bank. "You deserve better," she said, and I knew I had a true ally. Mark stumbled, mouth hanging open. "Diana? Even my own sister turned on me." It's pretty ironic, isn't it? I collected my purse and the small suitcase I'd prepared. The next morning, the court papers arrived like a punch to the gut. Mark used photoshopped images and a fake psychiatric report to prohibit me from seeing Hannah for a week. That bogus paperwork didn't just strip my mother's rights. It took my breath away. In that moment, I wasn't Aurora, the compliance expert anymore. I was just a mother being robbed. The pain wasn't about money. It was about being forbidden to touch my own child. That raw pain turned into cold steel. I swore I would use the very laws he exploited to get her back. I just wanted to run and hug her, but the court order blocked me. That's when I vowed Mark would pay, not just for me, but for Hannah. Diana lived in a cosy little house in the suburbs, near the university where she taught literature. When I arrived, she hugged me tight. "Hannah just called," she said, pulling me inside. "Are you holding up okay?" "Better than I thought I would be," I admitted, following her into the kitchen, where a bottle of wine was already open. "I can't believe Mark pulled that stunt in front of everyone," Diana said, pouring 2 glasses. "The ballroom, publicly like that. He's insane. He wanted to humiliate me," I explained, taking a sip of wine. "Publicly, so I wouldn't fight back to make me look like I was losing control." Diana's face darkened. "My brother always loves drama, but this is too much," she said. We sat in her sunroom, surrounded by plants and books. Diana had never married, preferring her freedom and academic work. Sometimes I used to envy her easygoing life. "How panicked was he about that fake key?" she asked, her eyes twinkling. I told her about the key, the divorce papers, the transfer evidence, and the loyalty clause in the prenup that would cost him everything. "The prenup?" Diana burst out laughing. "I remember him insisting on signing it. Dad gave him seed money for his first project, and he was worried about protecting it." She laughed bitterly. Talk about ultimate irony. My phone rang. "Hannah." I took a deep breath before answering. "Mom," she said, her voice tight. "I'm coming over to Diana's." "You don't have to, honey. I'm already on my way," she cut me off. "Dad told everyone you're mentally unstable, that you've been plotting this for ages. He said the most awful things. Of course he did. Mark always twisted the truth to play the victim." "Just let him talk," I replied. "The truth will come out." 20 minutes later, Hannah arrived, still in her party dress, mascara smeared from crying. She rushed into my arms, hugging me like she did when she was little after a bad dream. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice choking. "I didn't want to ruin your important day," I explained. "You tried so hard," Hannah stepped back, wiping her eyes. "And Dad ruined everything anyway." We went into Diana's living room, and I told her everything, finding the affair, the secret transfers, Mark and Jenna's plan. "I knew Dad was acting weird," Hannah said. "He was different, always glued to his phone. But I never imagined this. No one wants to see this in someone they love," Diana said gently. My phone vibrated, a text from my lawyer. "Mr. Tran Min, the emergency motion was approved. The accounts I pointed out were frozen, pending the divorce hearing. Mark only had enough for living expenses, not enough to buy the villa with Jenna." I showed the text to Diana and Hannah. "Good," Hannah said, her voice firm. "He deserves it." My daughter's fierce love warmed me, but I kept my head clear. "He's still your father," I reminded her. "Your relationship with him is separate from my situation." Hannah shook her head. "Maybe one day, but I don't want to see him now. He hugged me this morning, said he was proud, all while planning to destroy everything on our anniversary, and then pretend I wasn't involved." The doorbell rang, cutting our conversation short. Diana went to open it, returning with a look of concern. My heart pounded when Diana ushered Mark and Jenna in. Jenna was awkward, her sequined dress glittering under the light, looking like a bird caught in a cage, her blonde hair grazing her shoulders, bearing the overconfidence of someone who had never known hardship. Mark was absolutely livid, gripping the fake key like he wanted to snap it. "Aurora, you have to stop this crazy game," he yelled. "Unfreeze the accounts." "Can we talk like adults?" Hannah stood up, blocking him from me. "You're a coward, Dad. You couldn't even talk to Mom alone." Mark froze, surprised to see his daughter. "Hannah, this doesn't concern you." "Doesn't concern me?" "You ruined everything, and you're pretending I'm not involved." Earlier today, I had sent Jenna the voice recording via an anonymous email, knowing she'd freak out when she heard Mark call her a temporary plan. Jenna grabbed Mark's arm. "You said you didn't have a separate account, Mark." "Did you lie to me too? Calling me a temporary plan?" He turned back, face bright red. "Shut up, Jenna, you don't understand anything." He pushed her away. "No, I'm not leaving until Aurora agrees to talk sensibly." Diana crossed her arms, a small sneer on her face. "My sister-in-law is the only one with any decency here, Mark." I stayed put, watching the drama unfold. For years, I was the one mediating, keeping everyone happy. That role was exhausting, and I'd finally thrown it away. But I knew this noisy confrontation was just the opening act. The real victory happened this morning, in the lawyer's office. I remembered the moment clearly. Mark thought he had forced me to sign his version of the divorce settlement. But in the 3 seconds Jenna turned her head, my hand performed a perfect legal magic trick. I swapped the files. In those brief 3 seconds, my hand moved automatically, withdrawing the real file from the inner pocket of my bag, replacing the fake one. My finger tapped the cover, 3 times, the signal for my lawyer that the plan was a success. He thought he'd won by trying to take my only child, unaware that this act had just unleashed an enemy who had absolutely nothing left to lose. The accounts are locked until the preliminary hearing, I said, my voice calm. That's in 3 days. The judge will decide the asset split then. 3 days? Mark stammered. Sweat beaded on his forehead, his party shirt now looking rumpled. How am I supposed to live for 3 days? You have a separate account, I reminded him. It's empty, Aurora. Completely wiped out. Jenna whirled around to face Mark. You said you didn't have a separate account, Mark. Did you lie to me too? The crack was showing. Mark clearly hadn't been honest with Jenna either. He just ignored her. You're so vindictive, Aurora. This isn't like you at all. Maybe you never truly knew me, I replied, just like I clearly never truly knew you. Hannah turned to Jenna. Did you know he planned to announce this publicly at the anniversary party? Jenna looked down, ashamed. I thought he would talk to your mom privately. Today's announcement was a surprise, honestly. Mark shot her a betrayed glance. Their alliance was fracturing fast. Get out, both of you, Diana said firmly. Hannah's been through enough today. Hannah, Mark pleaded. You understand that feelings change, right? Sometimes people drift apart. My daughter's face hardened, a look I'd never seen before. I understand you chose drama over decency. You destroyed our family just to show off. I understand you were stealing from our family while I was working extra to buy books because you claimed money was tight. Mark turned pale. That's not true. Yes, it is, Hannah cut in. Just go, Dad. I don't want to see you right now. A heavy silence fell. Finally, Mark turned, and Jenna trailed awkwardly behind him. At the door, he turned back to me one last time. You won't get away with this, Aurora. I looked him straight in the eye. Just try me. As they left, Hannah collapsed onto the sofa next to me, tears streaming down her face. I held her hand, feeling her heart break but also sensing her strength. I've never said that to him before. I held her shoulders. Sometimes standing up for what's right is painful. Diana brought out 2 glasses of wine. A toast to new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. Exactly, I thought. This ending was just the start of something new. Jenna received the email containing the audio Mark recorded, showing him boasting about his deception plan. The clip went viral instantly. The hashtag to Mark Downfall trended on Twitter. One tweet read, Mark dug his own grave with his big mouth. The press picked it up. NFL star crashes over financial scandal. Crowds outside the courthouse streamed live, pushing Dr. Mark Downfall to the top spot. A comment on Twitter, Aurora is the queen of the flip. The final divorce hearing took place in a small courtroom on a rainy Tuesday morning. I arrived with my lawyer, Tran Min. Mark dragged along a hastily hired lawyer, a young guy from a corporate law firm who knew nothing about family law. Mark's hurried choice of counsel was his final mistake. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes who had no patience for drama, meticulously reviewed the prenuptial agreement. This contract is valid, she stated, looking over her glasses at Mark's lawyer. Do you challenge its legality? The young lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honour, we argue that the agreement expired due to the length of time. Clause 12 clearly states the provision extends for the entire duration of the marriage and any divorce proceedings, she read aloud. There is no expiration date listed. Mark's face turned brick red as the judge struck him down using the very contract he signed. His lawyer was flustered. The judge hammered the gavel down, the sound echoing like thunder, extinguishing Mark's last illusion. Furthermore, the judge continued, Mr. Mark's recorded self-admission confirms tax fraud, the judge declared. Therefore, the real estate project is forfeited, and he is permanently barred from NFL activities. flipped through the paperwork and looked up. I am maintaining the freeze on the joint accounts until the financial investigation is complete. Mr. Mark's separate account may still be used. The family home belongs to Mrs. Aurora during the proceedings, according to the infidelity clause. Immediately after the ruling, Mark rushed to the VIP suite of the real estate project, sweat pouring down his face, his hands shaking as he jammed the fake key into the safe. The metallic clink was deafening in the silent room. The safe was empty. I had emptied everything inside weeks earlier, the moment I learned of his divorce plan. That fake key mark was a key I had cloned. It wasn't the key to open the safe. It was the key to open your finale. It was a perfect copy of the real one, the one he had given me as a symbol of partnership. Today, I returned to him a fake version, exactly like the version of a husband he had been to me. The gift of betrayal returned in kind. I stood behind the glass, my lips forming silent words. Now that's a partner. Mark didn't just shout. He pounded his hands on the safe until they bled. You took everything. Even my last secret. His voice cracked, like someone who had nothing left to lose. This is ridiculous, he muttered, loud enough for me to hear. The judge glared at him. Mr. Mark, read the contract you signed carefully. The court will reconvene in 30 days when the investigation is finished. Mark stood like a statue in the courthouse hallway, his suit wrinkled like a defeated man. Through the window of the VIP suite, I saw him collapse onto the steps, holding his head like he'd lost everything, while I prepared to meet with female investors. Mark thought he had lost everything. He hadn't seen anything yet. Leaving the courtroom, Mark chased after me in the hall. Aurora, please. Can we talk reasonably? Don't our 30 years together count for anything? They counted for everything, I replied. Until you decided they didn't. I understand, he said, and for the first time I believed him. I wish you happiness, Aurora. You deserve it. His apology didn't soften me, but it made me sad. It was the sadness of watching a sandcastle collapse, regretful not because it fell, but because he never treasured it when it was whole. That was probably the first honest thing he'd said to me in years. In the VIP suite, where Mark used to show off his $1 million project, I hosted a meeting with female investors, all looking to protect their assets through divorce. Hannah stood beside me, smiling proudly. 6 months later, my Phoenix compliance group was thriving. For 3 decades of sacrifice, I thought I was only Mark's wife, Hannah's mother. Now I was Aurora, the one driving my own life. The Phoenix compliance group logo lit up, a declaration of a queen reborn. I moved from a small office to a larger space, hiring 2 associates. I specialized in helping women understand their finances through major life changes. Today, Phoenix Compliance Group doesn't just help women protect assets. We teach them to become the architects of consequences for their own lives. Because sometimes justice isn't forgiveness. It's making sure every action has a worthy consequence. Hannah often visits, proud of what I built. You know what's funny, Mom? She said during one visit. If Dad had just been honest, he probably would have kept half the assets. Some people only see what they want right now, I replied. The woman who was once just Mark's wife, Hannah's mother, found a new identity. A leader, a company owner, a protector of women. The fake key I placed next to Mark's plate at the party wasn't just an exit strategy. It opened a door I didn't know existed. Behind that door, I didn't just find revenge. I found rebirth. By protecting my finances, I took back something much more valuable. Myself. Who would have thought the prenuptial agreement Mark signed to protect himself would be the sharpest knife to cut everything off? The cruelest betrayal wasn't just the divorce. It was the plot to strip my rights as a mother. True justice isn't blind forgiveness. It's ensuring every action has a fitting consequence, and we need you on this journey. Subscribe now to support Aurora and spread the power of seeking justice for thousands of women looking for their own rebirth and self-protection. The next chapter will make you believe in a woman's power. Was Aurora too ruthless, or did Mark get what he deserved? Comment below.